Have you ever been preparing a dinner or planning a dinner party and you wanted to have a special bottle of wine prepared for that dinner, yet you had no idea what wine goes good with your meal? Well, I'll be giving you a few pointers and going through some wine tips and tricks so that you know exactly which wine goes good with what food. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Victoria. I run Time and Tenderness here on YouTube, and I post videos about homemaking, cooking, and cleaning. So if that piques your interest, hit like and think about subscribing. So a little disclaimer about wine. I do not condone drunkenness. I believe that wine is best enjoyed in moderation. I really appreciate the art form that is fermenting wine and growing grapes and doing all that. It is truly a labor of love. If you've ever visited a winery or a vineyard, you will know. But let's get started with this video. And if you don't happen to drink, if you're somebody who does not like to drink, you can still benefit from this video because some of these wines, if you want to cook with them, add some extra flavor, because when you cook with them, alcohol cooks off and is no longer there, but the flavor remains. You will get some nice advice about that. Let's go over a very brief history of wine. So the first archaeological evidence of wine being consumed was in the country of Georgia in Europe, which was in 6000 BC. Next, the other people that were using wine were in Iran, and that was in 5000 BC. And then of course we have our Italians in Sicily in 4000 BC, honing in on the trade and the art form of making wine. It was from the 15th century onward that wine really started to explode and become really popular as people started to travel more and take their recipes and culture with them all throughout Europe. So it was the 15th century that really marked a starting period for wine expanding. The Bible mentions wine some 240 times. Now that is accounting for good examples of wine and bad examples of wine, but I still think that is a very large number for a single beverage to be mentioned in such an important book. The Bible even mentions that wine can make the man's heart rejoice. Also, in the book of 1 Timothy, the Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy and instructed him to drink a little bit of wine instead of water to help with his stomach issues. Now, this is something that I personally tried once. I was having a very upset stomach day, and I tried Tums, I tried Pepto-Bismol, I tried ginger ale, everything. I took a very small glass of wine and sipped on it, and my stomach issue went right away. So that was me using some ancient knowledge to heal my stomach in that one instance. Now, in biblical times, wine was stored in clay vessels or in animal skin bags. So that's how they stored it back then. It wasn't until the 1st century that some French craftsmen devised a wine barrel for the very first time. And from then onward, the French were using wine barrels, which is still used to this day. Many wineries and many vineyards use wooden wine barrels in their aging process. Now, there are many varieties of wine, many grape varieties, plant varieties, and there are thousands and thousands of labels of wine. Now, I'm not going to be talking about wine labels, which is the brand of wine, because those are probably in the millions nowadays. But they're pretty much, no matter what wine label you go to, there's pretty much the same 3 big varieties, which is white, red, and dessert or sparkling wine. So you have that big category, and then you have your grape varieties below. So I'll be going over all of that in a brief nutshell. I'm sorry if I butcher all of this. If you are a wine connoisseur out there, if you are a wine expert, I'm trying my best. So let's start first with white wine. So within white wine, you have a sweet wine, you have a dry wine, and then you have a rich wine. So let's start first with dry wine and discuss some of the wine varieties, wine grape varieties that fall within that category. So a good example of a dry wine would be a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Grigio. Now again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering some of these names. I'm trying my hardest. So those two wines, those would go good with, say, fish or a vegetable meal. So think light, think if your meal is light, you might want something that's a little bit on the drier side to offset any of the flavors of that meal. So think fish, think a vegetable-based meal. So those wines would go good with that. So now we're going into our sweet white wine. So a good example of sweet white wines would be a Moscato or a Riesling. Now these will go good as some people like those sweet wines as dessert wines, and some people really like to just sip on those wines alone without a meal or with a cheese or charcuterie board, if I'm even saying that correctly. I don't know how I sound. Let me know in the comments down below. But those, if you like to have cheese and wine, so a Moscato would be great for cheese and wine or as a dessert wine. Now we're at our bottom section of wine, which would be the rich white wine. So a Chardonnay is a good rich white wine. I'll be also showing you another one that I think is rich later on in the video as an example of how I use these wines. So these are my 4 favorite wines that I'll be showing you and telling you how I use them later on. But those rich white wines, some people like them again with seafood, poultry, as well as having it as a cheese wine if you're nibbling on some cheese. Now going into our red category of wine. So within our red category of wines, you have light, medium, and bold. So the light category of red wines is closely linked to the white wine. So we're starting from white going all the way down. So then you have the light red wines. So a good example of some light red wines are a Pinot Noir or a Saint Laurent. Now these white wines, not white, these light red wines will go good again with a poultry dish, with a beef dish, or with a fish dish as well, a seafood dish. So those wines go good with that. Now we are into our medium range of red wine. So a good medium range of red wine, one of my favorites is a Merlot. Now a Merlot will go good with beef. It'll go good with some, like anything that has a heavy tomato sauce. So think spaghetti, think chili if you happen to like to drink wine with your chili, but if it's a tomato base, it'll go good with that. And if it's a beef base, it'll go good with that as well. So any red meat, any hoofed animal, it'll go good with a Merlot. Now we are into our bold category of wine. So my favorite bold wine is a Cabernet Sauvignon. Now these are very rich in flavors. They're some of the most popular wines that there are out there. You can pretty much get them at a convenience store, liquor store, whatever you call them where you live. But a Cabernet Sauvignon goes really great again with a tomato-based sauce or with a beef or red meat dish. So I really like to add a cup of Cabernet Sauvignon to my roast beef. So I'll add some of that to my roast beef. It really helps tenderize the meat and make a really delicious sauce. Now we're down to our sparkling and dessert wine. So they do make Moscato as a sparkling wine, and they also of course have champagne. So that would be in the category of sparkling wines. And then you have sherry and port, which is a dessert wine. These wines are very heavy and sweet. Some of them are sweet, but they are mostly heavy and they just go great as a sipping wine. You just sip it. So let me now go over my 4 favorite wines that I have here. So the first one on the lighter side, of course, is the Moscato. This is the Barefoot Moscato. Pretty much anytime I go to a ladies' night or a gathering anywhere, somebody always shows up with this wine, and this is the one that goes fast first. Everybody loves this wine. You really can't go wrong. If you have been invited to a dinner party, a game night, of course, if you are over the age of 21, you can bring this, and I'm pretty sure just about everybody there will love it. Now this is a Vonier wine. It is a white wine, and this is my favorite wine to go with seafood dishes. This is my personal favorite. I personally really like this wine in shrimp scampi. I use a lot of garlic, and this really complements the garlic really well. It has hints of citrus as well as honeysuckle. It's just amazing. Now, if you're looking to just have a bottle of wine around the house, or if you're just wanting to, again, show up to a gathering, a dinner party, give a hostess gift or give a gift to somebody and you don't know what they like, you might want to reach for a red blend. Now, this is my favorite red blend. This is the Apothic Dark. It's a red blend. So what a red blend is, it's just a blend of all of their red wines together. They bottle it up, put a fancy label on it, and sell it to you for 10 bucks. But yeah, so if you just wanted to grab a bottle of wine and you have no idea what to get, you don't know what the menu is if you're going to a party, you don't know what they like, and you don't want to come empty-handed, because I strongly advise no one ever go empty-handed to a party. But I would go to your local wine store and ask what their most popular red wine blend is and show up with that. Now, this is actually a wine I have not tried yet. I just happened to see it at my local wine shop. It had won some awards recently that they had advertised locally. So this is the Smoking Lewd Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet is my favorite wine. I always like to have one lying around. So I am very excited to try this wine. And if you follow me on Instagram, I might do a review on this. So be sure to follow me on there if you want to know how this was. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to clarify some things and help you pinpoint what wine goes with what type of food, from white wine all the way to dessert wine, sparkling wine, and everything in between. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you really enjoyed this video, and if you're new here, and reach out to me on Instagram and follow me there. I'm always posting something. At least I try every day, but we'll see. I hope to see you guys next week, and I hope you guys all have wonderful weeks and wonderful days. Bye.